I'm on the winning side. Yes, I'm on the winning side.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Winning Side Podcast with Jeremy Coburnett, pastor of Victory Baptist Church in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. It is God's desire for His people to experience victory and to live on the winning side each and every day. We are so glad that you have joined us today and pray you will be blessed as you listen to today's edition of The Winning Side with Pastor Jeremy Coburnett.
Thank you for joining us today. It is Thursday, June the 2nd. I hope you're having a great day, and we are always so thankful that you take the time to join us. We welcome those listening by way of radio, 95.9 FM, and then those on the radio app, those on the podcast, we welcome you, and then those watching on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for being with us. I hope you're having a great day. I'm so fired up about Sunday. Of course, I love every service, and Wednesday nights are always so good. But I'm looking forward to this Sunday especially. It's our graduation Sunday. It's our promotion Sunday where the children will move up to their next class. Not every child, but the different age groups will. And it's going to be great. And then we have the Brady Rochester family, and they'll be singing and playing instruments. It's going to be a great day. And then, of course, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, our summer revival, and I hope you'll be much in prayer for that. And let's pray for these preachers that are coming. Pray for Brother Arthur. He'll be coming up. He'll be driving up from Atlanta. Brother Rossi, he'll be driving down from, I say Baltimore. It's not Baltimore. It's I think it's Glen Burnie. I forget the name of the city, but it's a suburb of Baltimore. He'll be coming down. Brother Brad Williams and his family, they'll be driving over from over by Hillsboro. And let's pray for them. Brother Brady Rochester and his family, they're driving up from South Carolina Saturday, and they'll be heading back, I think, probably late Sunday night. But let's just pray for these folks that are traveling. Pray God will give them strength. Pray God will speak to them as they then minister to us. And I know you will. Thank you so much for being a great group of folks, those that are in our church, those that are our listeners on the radio. We appreciate your prayers so much, and we appreciate your encouragement. Let's be in prayer for our missionaries. Let's pray for our country, and let's pray for one another. Here's a song. I want you to hear this song, and then after this song, we're going to jump back into our Bible study in Psalm 78. It's a long psalm. We didn't get very far yesterday. Well, I said a lot. We didn't get very far, but we're going to jump back in. I hope it'll be a blessing to you. Psalm 78, right after this song.
Who could come from heaven and be born of a virgin's womb? What king could die for all men's sin and be laid in a borrowed tomb? What man could raise up from the dead and ascend to heaven's throne? No one else could do what he has done. No one else could take the burdens from me. No one else could melt this heart of stone. It took Jesus and the blood He shed on Calvary. No one else could do what He's done for me. Whose blood could take a wicked heart and make it white as snow? Whose love could take a ruined life and make it pure and whole? There is only one man who can set a sinner free. No one else could do what He's done for me. No one else could take the burdens from me. No one else could melt this heart of stone. It took Jesus and the blood He shed on Calvary. No one else could do what He's done for me.
Psalm 78, let's look at verse number 4. We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord and His strength and His wonderful works that He hath done. We're not going to hide them, but we're going to show them. We're going to show people. We're going to tell people. We're going to recount. I'm not talking about like you recount, votes or something like that, but we're going to recount. We're going to relive. We're going to retell all the things that God has done. You know how that is. You get talking to somebody and they'll say something and it will remind you of a story, right? And you're like, oh, did I ever tell you about this? And boy, you start telling about it. I think that's great. But I hope a lot of our stories, I hope a lot of our conversations are stories and conversations that point to Jesus Christ. I hope our stories are not, oh, you wouldn't believe how bad my life is and how terrible things are, and you wouldn't believe what my boss did, and you wouldn't believe what my wife did. And no. I hope our stories are a lot like this. Let me tell you how good God's been. Let me tell you how wonderful God has been in my life. And let's show to the next generation the goodness of God and His strength and His wonderful works. You see, in order to recount something, you must first tell about what God has done for you and what you've experienced, not just what you've heard. You can't just tell everybody else's stories. I'm sure you've done that before. I've done that a few times. Hey, did you hear what so-and-so said? It's not the same if it's not your story. It's not the same if it didn't happen to you. And I hope we've got a lot of stories of answers to prayer and victories and things that God has done in our lives. You know how you get stories like that? You pray. You're not going to get answers to prayer if you don't pray. You know how you get stories like that? You go out and tell people about Jesus, and then you can tell about somebody that got saved, or go out and help somebody, and you help somebody, and then you can share with somebody how that particular situation, God used you to help somebody else. And I tell you, let's talk about His praises. Let's talk about His strength. Let's talk about His wonderful works that He hath done. Nobody else can do what God can do. Let there be no mistake. God did it. I was going back over my notes a week or two ago from last fall. We had a Sunday night service where we recognized the folks from Cornerstone Christian School who were very instrumental in allowing us to get that property and get that building for Victory Christian Academy. And I used that passage in Psalm 118. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. And the title of my message, the title of that challenge that night was this: God did it. Only God could do it. Only God could do what He did, and He deserves all the glory. He does everything well. God does everything wonderful. That word wonderful means marvelous, extraordinary. Verse number 5, He established a testimony in Jacob, and He appointed a law in Israel which He commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children. Verse number 6, that the generation to come might know them. That word know, it's not only just to have a knowledge, but it's talking about knowing by seeing. And our children need to see some things. They need to see that it's real in our lives. Another generation. Christianity must not stop with you and me. It must be passed on, and it must be passed down. You've seen the Olympic races where the runners are running the relay, and they've got the baton. Well, can I tell you what is so critical and what is so crucial with a baton relay is that both parties do what they're supposed to do. The one has to hand it off. The one has to hand it off and let go. The other one has to grab it and hang on. And we are passing a baton to the next generation. We've got to do our part to make sure that they've got it and to make sure they know what God has done in us and what God can do in them. We see verse number 7, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep His commandments. Now, let me remind you, we want them to know what God has done in our lives, but their confidence is not in us. And their confidence is not in humans. Their confidence is in God. And we must make sure that they've got their hope, their confidence set in God. Verse number 8, here's a sad verse. And might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. Oh, boy, that's so sad to think that there were some people in Israel who they became stubborn. They became rebellious. They became contentious and disobedient. They didn't set their heart right. That word aright means to be firmly set, to be firmly established. Can I tell you, we need Christians that will be steadfast and unmovable. We need Christians that will be faithful. Verse 9, the children of Ephraim, being armed and carrying bows, they turned back in the day of battle. The Bible talks about in the book of Joshua and the book of Judges that the people of Ephraim, they were armed, they were equipped, they had weapons, they were prepared. But something happened. When the day of battle came, they didn't go into battle, they turned back. Maybe they got fearful. Maybe they got their eyes on the enemy. Maybe they got their eyes on how many they were facing and how big the enemy was. I don't know what happened, but they turned back. I want to remind you today that we are in a spiritual battle. Did you know that parenting is spiritual warfare? Did you know that serving in a ministry is spiritual warfare? Did you know being a witness and being a prayer warrior is spiritual warfare? Satan desires to destroy. Satan wants to capture the hearts and minds of our youth. Satan wants to drive a wedge in parents and children. Satan wants to divide marriages. Satan is on a mission to destroy. And we must not turn back in the day of battle, but we must fight on. We must march on. We must keep pressing on. 1 Timothy chapter 6, Paul told Timothy, he said, fight the good fight of faith. The book of 2 Timothy, I believe it is where Paul told Timothy, he said, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. May God help us not to turn back, but may God help us to keep on in the battle. We'll stop there for today. I hope it was a blessing. Hope it was a help to you today, and we'll pick up tomorrow. God bless you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful day.
On the winning side. Yes, I'm on the winning side.
Thank you for joining us today on the Winning Side Podcast with Jeremy Coburnett, pastor of Victory Baptist Church in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. If today's episode encouraged you in your Christian life, would you consider sharing this daily podcast with a friend, a neighbor, maybe a family member, or a coworker? We are grateful for your help in spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. If we can ever be a help to you in any way, please let us know by calling or texting us at 252-308-4600. Thanks again for listening today, and we look forward to having you join us again next time on the Winning Side Podcast with Jeremy Coburnett.
Place me on the winning side.